The do not disturb I didn't switch. The night the sweet borrowed his mouth. At 9:05 p.m., my phone told me a door had learned a lie. Hi Silas, your do not disturb is now on for Suite 4903 Solstice Hotel, the push banner said, confident as a maitre d'. It was our shared hotel app, the one we installed once in a lobby because we chose convenience over doubt. Below the toggle, a blooming dot read turndown scheduled late amenity for 2. I was the one holding the phone. I am not Silas. I stood in our kitchen with a towel over my shoulder like I trusted myself to be domestic. In the oven, a cinnamon thing pretended to be a plan. The apartment had the kind of quiet that means the walls want to be fair but are afraid. I put the phone face down, the way we always say we will when we plan to behave. Then I turned it over again because I wanted to misbehave correctly and on purpose. Silas had left at 8 with the jacket that flatters him even on days when mirrors choose honesty. Wrap toast, he'd said, 2 words that make celebration sound like it should be expensed. Then notes with Kieran. Don't wait. Kieran is sound design. Handsome the way listening makes a face clever. I remembered Kieran fitting a lav mic at Silas's throat last month and saying, again, the syllables too close to ritual to be just instruction. I didn't text him. Some nights the distance between a thumb and a decision is a cliff. I put on the jacket that knows how to stay quiet, locked the door with the courtesy you offer objects that might someday be witnesses, and walked towards solstice with the long steps you use when your pretending rhythm can save you. The lobby did what lobbies like this do: brass that refuses to oxidize, plants with posture, a fragrance named something like late citrus performing apology. A pianist in the corner practiced the absence of blame. The concierge met my eyes with the practiced mercy of someone who counts confessions like tips and spends neither in front of you. I nodded at the elevators the way a man nods at a mirror he intends to survive. On 49, the carpet hushed my shoes and the numbers along the wall glowed like resumes. 2 doors beyond the elevator, a service corridor opened onto a balcony designed for smokers and people who required a temperature to tell the truth. I didn't go there yet. Suite 4903 waited at the end of the bend, its red eye patient. I could have knocked. Instead, I thumbed the app again. The toggle slid prettily between Do Not Disturb and Make Up Room. I set it back where I found it. I am sentimental about evidence. Silas stepped out before I could invent a knock that wouldn't humiliate me. He closed the door behind him with the tenderness he saves for other people's libraries, not ours. He saw me. There is a half-second at the beginning of surprise where the truth shows up without its coat. I saw that half-second before the practiced face arrived. Caleb, he said, my name with the softness of a receipt. The suite says hello, I said. Humor is the leash I use to keep panic from bolting. It thinks privacy looks better on you. His mouth framed an almost smile, the kind you do when you're about to rehearse reasonable. He glanced past my shoulder toward the ceiling corner where cameras pretend not to be. Not here, he said. End of the hall, there's air. The terrace was a glass rectangle attached to the hotel's lungs. Ductwork hummed like anxious crickets. A small round table waited like a witness who had been coached to keep its mouth shut. City light lay on his collarbone the way a luminous thing chooses a surface to be forgiven by. He put both hands on the rail, then opened them as if unfolding a plan he didn't want to finish. I lied when I left, he said. No adjectives, just an admission with its shirt untucked. Rap happened. People applied their best grammar to goodbye. Then I told myself I wanted 30 minutes where the only thing I was responsible for was being interesting. Kieran, I said, because names are handles and I like my hands full when the room tilts. He nodded. He hears what I turned down. Are you sleeping with him? The question is a cliff. There isn't a scenic route. You step up and use your mouth like an adult. Not yet, he said, clean, immediate. Then lower, the honesty that knows exactly which muscle to bruise. I brought my mouth. A ridge of cold air threaded the open part of my shirt and stayed there like it had paid for the view. I watched him decide where to put his eyes. He chose me. Points for choreography. You like wanting that proves something kindness can't, I said, not cruel. Cruelty is the lazy substitute for precision. You treat intimacy like a sport and honesty like off-season training. You like to coach, he said. The corner of his mouth fought the smile and lost politely, which is unfair and probably the only reason my life passes inspection. What do you want? I asked. Now, not the apology you drafted for daylight. He stepped into the distance that had turned into a lie while we were thinking. I could smell cedar, the hotel kind, and the faint sugar of a dessert he didn't finish. He spoke so close I could feel the punctuation. I want to come home, he said. I want you to take me there and make me remember what wanting is for when it isn't trying to pass the test. The door to the suite opened behind him a fraction. Kieran stood there with 2 fingers on the jamb like a man who had studied furniture and found it morally sound. He didn't apologize. He didn't dare me. He met my eyes for exactly the length decency instructs and stepped back into the suite without making the room complicit. You don't get to be rescued by poetry, I said to Silas, because if I don't say it out loud to him, I'll spend a week repeating it into the kitchen air. You get my mouth or the door. Tonight I'm greedy. His breath hit my name and stayed. I put 2 fingers under his jaw and lifted until his eyes knew where to look. His pulse jumped under my thumb like a rule breaking itself gently to see if I'd notice. I kissed him. Not hunger first. Relief. Relief is the kind of appetite you can walk home. He leaned into the pressure like paying a debt and liking the math. My palms slid under his shirt to the heat at the small of his back where his body keeps its best arguments. He made that low sound he doesn't know how to perform on cue. The glass threw our shapes at us, and they looked thinner than truth. I used my mouth to correct the record. I stopped before the room could pretend to be a witness. He kept his forehead close to mine and said my name like punctuation. Come home, I said. We'll do sentences in the morning. Verbs cost more, but they're worth it. He nodded. The nod was a hinge finding itself. We walked past the suite door without slowing. The elevator took us down like it had been waiting to be helpful all night. In the lobby, the piano found a chord for people choosing continuity. Outside, weather minded its own business. I liked it better for that. In the cab, he didn't touch me. That is not a sin. Touching then would have demanded a choice before we had a place to put it. At home, the cinnamon had waited with the indecent loyalty of sugar. We ate the thing standing up because chairs would have felt like ceremony, and we had already attended too many rehearsals. He watched my mouth the way some men watch clock hands at the end of a long day. I slid my palm under his shirt again and found the heat like I knew the address. He leaned into it with a gratefulness I haven't learned to spend carelessly. We were careful in bed, not the kind of careful that kills heat, the kind that knows where to fold it. He pressed me back against the edge of the counter first, because his body remembered its place before his mouth did. Later, our bed agreed to be furniture and not evidence. He knows where to put his palm on my ribs so that the rest of me remembers how to turn without argument. I know where his shoulder hides when it doesn't want to confess and how to coax it until it does something better than speaking. I won't give you choreography. I'll tell you the room remembered to breathe. I'll tell you we returned everything we borrowed from the night except the warmth it was relieved to lose. We slept the sleep that has terms and conditions. Morning put a clean shirt on our choices. He made coffee the way he does when he wants me to listen. I opened the windows and let whatever mercy the hour could afford draft itself in. The app glowed on the counter between us, a toggle smirking in both directions. He told me the small facts first because small facts keep the larger ones from falling over. The notes ran long. The suite had made the city feel negotiable. He and Kieran had worked too close for too long, and the dimmer's suggestion sounded like permission. He ran out of script and then said what I could keep. He said he is tired of being interesting for a living. He said he wanted, for an hour, to be wanted like teenagers who don't know how to be beautiful. He said he imagined my mouth more than once in that room and felt ashamed of the math. He said he was sorry like a man who knows sorry is a tool, not an eraser. I didn't forgive him there. Forgiveness is a daylight animal in morning's charge. I put my hand over his on the counter and called it a partial payment. He nodded like a man who understands ledgers. We walked to the canal because the bench there has agreed to be impartial. Pigeons practiced competence. The water lied about Paris and we let it. He hooked his thumb in my pocket like humility, which is my preferred grammar for remorse. 2 days later, I saw Kieran in a lobby that smelled like ambition and lemon. He gave me the nod men give when they have chosen to be furniture on purpose. He didn't apologize, and I didn't deputize. We took the elevator mirror and read our names backward just fine. Solstice still sends us tidy little pushes. I don't trust their fonts or my inbox. I trust the smell of cinnamon and the way our apartment's light climbs the wall in late afternoon. I trust how Silas leans against our counter like a man who expects to be wanted where he lives. I trust my mouth, which has learned the grammar of not rescuing him and wanting him anyway. If a toggle slides itself on again for a room I'm not meant to open, I will do what I did that night. Find the terrace with air, choose kissing over theater, escort him home with a hand in the part of his back that knows the address, and teach our door, gently, stubbornly, with as many mistakes as it takes, to open from the inside.